Only 5% of Indians earns more than 1 lakh per month, maybe even less. So if you're earning anywhere between 10,000 to 70,000 per month, this video will help you to increase your income. My name is Ishan. In last 3 years, I switched 4 jobs, ran 2 freelancing businesses, and I'm currently running a 6-figure agency, which is awesome. But when I look back, I understood 4 things that I have learned, and after looking at 50 plus stories from people that I've talked to last month, makes a lot of sense that these 4 things are the only differences. If you understand these 4 things, you are going to reach that 1 lakh per month mark in next 3 months max. You might be able to reach that 30 days, but 90 days for sure. Before we run into those 4 things, we are running a community in which we just meet weekly. We are having a WhatsApp group. So it's basically a group of people that are pushing each other to reach that 1 lakh mark. And what we are doing exactly today is to see bits of those weekly calls that we have had in order to cover up these 4 points. Now, what are these 4 points? Number one, you need to understand the fundamental thing that you are being paid for. You are a part of business. Even if you're an employee, even if you're running your own business, your own agency, you're freelancer, doesn't matter. You are a part of business. Now, what does it mean? You are creating some value as a part of the company so that the company can deliver some value to their clients or their customers. And that is you knowing that you are playing that part. Now, if you understand that part is this much expensive to the company and can be this much expensive, that is the delta that you're fighting for, number one. The number two is you need to understand that, hey, if I just increase my value inside the company, so you're creating a value inside the company, if you're increasing that, that will get you paid more. Now, that is very, very simple terms. Let's look at some of the things that we talked about in this community call over one of the week that we had. So into this.
तो कुछ बेसिक चीजें बिफोर वी स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट हाउ द मनी इज बीइंग मेड। ठीक है, वो बेसिक चीजें 3 चीजों में मैंने डिवाइड करी थी। एक कि व्हाट यू गेट पेड फॉर, तो मार्केट में तुम्हें पैसा क्यों मिलता है। लाइक लेट्स जस्ट टेक अ स्टेप बैक एंड जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट। मार्केट में हमें पैसा सिर्फ इसलिए मिलता है क्योंकि हम मार्केट में कुछ किसी के लिए कुछ वैल्यू क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, राइट। हम लोग जॉब कर रहे हैं, कोडिंग कर रहे हैं, फिर वो कोडिंग किसके लिए कर रहे हैं, अपनी कंपनी के किसी क्लाइंट के लिए कर रहे हैं, राइट। मोस्ट ऑफ यू आर डूइंग दैट। और किसी केसेस में ऐसा है कि हम लोग एक प्रोडक्ट बना हुआ कंपनी का और कंपनी के बहुत सारे कस्टमर्स हैं, उनको मैनेज करने के लिए, उनको प्रोडक्ट चलाने के लिए हम लोगों की कोडिंग स्किल्स चाहिए, हम लोग वो कर रहे हैं, राइट। या मेरे केस में अगर मैं अपनी बात करूं, तो मैंने जब टीचिंग कर रहा था तो मैं किसी को पढ़ा रहा था, राइट। एंड उसके लिए मुझे वो लोग पैसे दे रहे हैं एंड आई वाज जस्ट वट एवर आई हैव लर्न आई एम जस्ट पासिंग इट ऑन। या फिर जब मैं डिजिटल मार्केटिंग के क्लाइंट्स थे मेरे, उसमें हम लोग किसी के लिए वेबसाइट बनाए। सो बेसिकली द कोर आइडिया इज कि हम लोगों ने कुछ वैल्यू क्रिएट करी मार्केट में, उसके लिए हमें पैसा मिल रहा है। ठीक है, एक स्टेप और पीछे लेते हैं कि वो वैल्यू क्रिएट कैसे करते हैं। उसके लिए तुम्हें एक स्किल आनी चाहिए, एज सिंपल एज दैट। दैट स्किल इज द आंसर व्हाई वुड समबडी पे यू। अब डजंट मैटर व्हाट यू डू। सो मैंने जब वो प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट किया था लाइक 4 साल पहले, जिसको मैं कंटिन्यू नहीं कर पाया फॉर पर्सनल रीजंस, उसका नाम भी मैंने यही रखा था कि स्किल्स ओवर डिग्री, राइट। स्किल्स स्किल्स आर व्हाट यू आर पेड फॉर, बट और उसी को मद्देनजर रखते हुए हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं कि स्किल्स एक नहीं होता है। जैसे सिर्फ कोडिंग करना इज नॉट द ओनली स्किल दैट यू आर डूइंग। देयर आर अदर इंपॉर्टेंट, लाइक वन मोर स्किल विच वी आर गोना टॉक अबाउट विच इज सेल्स। लाइक थर्ड पॉइंट ये है कि मार्केट में पैसा किस तरीके से बांटा जाता है, राइट। वन इज सर्विसेज। सर्विसेज क्या होती हैं कि मैंने कुछ ऐसा सीख लिया जो कि मैं किसी के लिए कम टाइम में कर सकता हूँ। अब ऐसा नहीं है कि वो जो क्लाइंट है उसको कोडिंग सीखने में टाइम लग सकता है, फिर वो अपना प्रोडक्ट खुद ही बना सकता है। एंड अगर मैं छोटे लेवल की और नीचे जाके एकदम कोडिंग वोडिंग की बात ना भी करूं, सो जैसे देर वी हैव अ मेड जो कि सुबह आती है। ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं सफाई खुद नहीं कर सकता हूँ, बट मैं अपना टाइम बचाने के लिए किसी को पैसे दे रहा हूँ, ताकि मेरा अपना टाइम कहीं और जगह अच्छे से यूटिलाइज कर पाऊँ। ताकि और वो तभी हो सकता है जब मुझे अपने टाइम की वैल्यू या मेरे स्किल्स की वैल्यू पता हो सकती है। सो इट्स अ सर्कल ऑफ लाइफ। पीपल लर्न स्किल्स, देन पीपल मूव अहेड एंड उनको उन स्किल्स के लिए पैसे मिलते रहते हैं। तुम और लर्न करोगे, तुम्हें और पैसे मिलेंगे, एंड दैट्स द होप। बट उसके पीछे और भी चीजें रहती है। राइट। तो सर्विसेज और प्रोडक्ट्स में फर्क पता करना। प्रोडक्ट भी एक तरह की कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड सर्विस ही होती है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों ने मिलकर एक चीज बना दी, फोन बना दिया, अब वो फोन को बहुत बार बेचा जा रहा है, राइट। बट शुरुआत सर्विस से करना इज इजी।
Point number two, we need to really understand that we need to hang around the place, the people, the community, the environment where there is a lot of money. If you're working for a wrong company, if you're working for a boss or a wrong people, set of people, if you're working for a wrong industry, you don't understand the trend that is gonna get you paid more. You will be paid always lesser and lesser than your worth. So, in order to understand and increase the probability of reaching that 1 lakh mark ASAP, let's look into the concepts right here. We're going to talk about the 3 steps to sell your skill. But before we do that, there is a step zero. And the step zero is all about increasing the probability of making the most amount of money ASAP. That is very important because any skill, a lot of skills are there that can make you a lot of money, but we are going to identify what should we do. There are a few principles and the right, you got to find the right industry, right? What do you mean by right industry? Because if you're in the wrong industry with the right skill sets, you're going to make less amount of money. What does that mean? So AI, blockchain, green energy, healthcare, fintech, e-commerce are some of the fastest growing industries. So if you are just taking an example of a copywriter or someone with the performance marketing skills, if they are in these industries, they're going to make much more money than the other people. And now, how identify the right industry? Research trends using platforms like LinkedIn's Insights, Glassdoor Economic. You can go through all of this. But my best one is I just watch hundreds of video on one particular industry that I really love and want to work with. And I'll just start connecting dots. And this is something that has worked for me greatly. But, of course, you can go through the other stuff. There are a lot of research reports out there. You can go through Google Trends, Upwork job posting. There are a lot of other ways, but this is how I do it. The second thing that you need to figure out is the right skill set. Now, when it comes to freelancer or agency guys, you're going to talk about the right offer, right? There are many ways to find that right skill or the offer is. The third right thing is the right company or the right client. Now, this is, of course, we all know this, right? If you're working for a company A, it can pay you 40,000 with the same skill set, with the same amount of talent. If you're working for the company B, it can pay you 80,000. So it is important, right? But how do we identify those companies? Just target companies or organizations or the client who are struggling with the challenges that you specifically can solve, right? And you want to be working at a place where you're learning and growing at the same place, right? So now how to find these companies? Just look at the revenue, look at the amount of money that they have, look at the funding that they have. You can find them in LinkedIn, AngelList for startups, and niche specific job board. There are thousands and thousands of job boards out there which you can explore. And of course, referrals from existing contacts. The fourth right thing is the right network. Now, this is very important. So the network open a lot of opportunities. You got to look into the peer groups. What are the mentors? If you can get those things the right, that can open up a lot of doors. You can tap into a lot of communities and just be a part of communities, show that you can be valuable. You can get that. So how to build it? Just use social media platforms, find those right people. You're gonna spend those money and time to find these right group of people. The fourth thing is the right platform. You gotta be hanging out on the right platform, not the wrong one. So Instagram might be a great place for a person A to get the client or the company, but not for everybody else, right? Not for a person B. So that is something that we might need to look at. For job seekers, LinkedIn is great, Glassdoor is great, company career pages, freelancers, Upwork, Fiverr, TopTal, etc. Now, the right income model is something that you can look into. But the seventh one, which I feel is the most important one, a lot of people miss out on this because of XYZ reasons. We can talk about those XYZ reasons. But you got to look at the right geography. We all know if you're in a certain city, you're going to get paid more, but you can actually get paid more while working for someone who is sitting across the world. Of course, you got to build up that like communication skills, you got to build up that accent. For some people, like they don't like it, but some are okay. And you got to be okay to listen to a lot of no's because you are sort of a desi person and they don't just like it. Like a lot of people don't like it. But If you can just crack it, that is the biggest arbitrage that you can work into right now. So work with global markets. Point number three, the very important skill that we all are missing is sales. I won't go into a lot of details because we had an amazing call on one of the weeks. So let's just get right into that. Selling is the only thing that can make you different than 80% of the people out there. If you sell consciously, you're gonna be like much more at a better place. How to sell consciously? Only three things are needed, right? Understand this. If you're giving an interview, if you're having a client prospect meeting, if you're doing negotiation with the rickshawala, if you're doing like anything for that matter in your life, you're asking your parents to make you have like to do something. The point is, everything is basically a sell. I say salesmanship. It's very important to learn how to sell. Not when it is important. That means not when you're looking for that next job, not when you're having that next client, but just understand that sales is the non-negotiable part of living this materialistic life that we all live. It's just non-negotiable. The point when you don't need to sell anything is where you become the monk. You don't care what other people think. So how to sell? We need to have a portfolio. In job, guys, it can be a resume. It can be your GitHub. It can be your design stuff. It can be your anything that can show your, hey, this guy can actually do stuff and not say stuff. And doesn't matter where you are coming from or what do you do, what are you trying to sell, what is that core skill. The thing is we need to make our portfolio. It doesn't matter what your course you do, at the end of the day you need to showcase how well can you do something. But how to stand out now, right? There is only three things that you do when you're trying to sell something. The t-shirt vendor outside the local market is also doing the same thing, right? He's sitting in a place where he has a lot of potential to reach to many people. One, he has a thing to sell, which he can just showcase to you. I have a t-shirt to sell, right? And then he is just shouting on top of his lungs to make sure that he's standing out among many other people. And those are the only three things that you need to have to sell anything, whether it's your next job. So that means you will have a portfolio. You'll make sure that you stand out among the people that are approaching that company. So in job scenario, there are thousands of applications, hundreds of applications. You need to make sure that you are standing out. What you can do is you can record a self video of yourself to send. That's where you stand out. It's something that not a lot of people does, right? So that's something that you can do. The other thing that you can do is actually do something for that company. If you're gonna do the copywriting thing, just write 10 copies for the company, and they'll just hire you immediately if they like you. They don't care where you're coming from. If they like it and they know this is gonna work and you understand their brand and you have done enough research, you're gonna like sell yourself to like to them basically. Portfolio, standing out, and then finding people to sell to. This is sort of everything that you need to know while you're selling stuff. Point number four, we are missing a system that we need to have in place in order to sell ourselves. Once we understand the sales is the most important part, after you understand the core skill, after you have a grasp of the core skill that is a value creation thing, the sales is the most important part. Once you understand, there needs to be a system. So one, you need to have a thing to sell that is going to be your portfolio, your resume, depending on the things that you want to do, job or the freelancing or the agency space. The number two is that's the thing to sell. The number two is how you're going to sell it. Now that's approaching people, applying to jobs, talking to the founders if you're trying to sell them. So that's number two. The number three thing is standing out, because the people who are going to be a payer, an employer, or somebody who needs a client, they will be receiving a lot of messages, right? So you need to understand how you're going to stand out among that crowd. If you do three things in that system that you create, if you follow it for next 90 to 100 days, I can make sure, I can guarantee you, once you have a valuable skill and you follow this system, that you will reach that 1 lakh mark. It's impossible to actually reach that. Now we discuss a lot more about this in the community that we have built. It's a system. It's like everyday motivation. We are talking, hey, think about this. You're in a group where a lot of people like you who are ambitious, but they're lacking either the path to that 1 lakh mark or they're lacking the motivation. They don't have the environment because everybody around them is just making them comfortable. So if you're feeling ever that to be that person, this community is the place. I've tried my best. There are beta groups that I've run. We have got amazing results. So you can join this community. I would love to have you there. See you inside.